Butelevu tuvaniriza ku MGD TV ku programu yaffe tukyogereko nango omuweerezaawo Angel Grace tuba twogera ku bintu ebyenjawulo ate ebikoze amawulire okwetolola eggwanga lyonna so ng'ate mba nkyaza abagenyi ab'enjawulo ng'ate tuba tukubaganya empower wabula ate naawe omulabi waffe osobola okuba ng'osubscribinga ku YouTube channel yaffe onotfollowinga ku Facebook, Instagram ne Twitter ate oba osobola okuba nga osindika message ku noti 7 noti 535 mukaga noti emo or you can say 0700535609 wabula tenga sinaleta bana abagenyi. Allow me to go for a commercial break. I'll be right back. Alright, as I promised you, I'm going to be coming in with my guests and we are going to be talking about DNA. And speaking of DNA has caused a lot of commotion. But before we go into a deep conversation, allow me to give the chance to my guests to introduce themselves.
Yeah, thank you so much. Glad to be here on MDG TV. My name is Wandera Stephen. I am an educationist. I am an accountant, a husband, a parent, and a proud father. Nice meeting you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Wandera Stephen. Yes, madam.
Thank you so much. My name is Sheila Yebaziboy. I'm a law student at Kampala International University and one of the founders of Legal Action Network for Awareness. And I'm glad to be here. Thanks for hosting me.
You're welcome. Well, I will start with Mr. Wandera Stephen. Mr. Wandera, do you think DNA should be done? Because as I said, DNA has caused a lot of commotion. People are going on doing weird acts. They are committing violence. Do you think DNA should be necessary?
Yeah, thank you so much, our moderator. The first thing that we need to understand is how did we reach here? We are talking about doing a DNA, but how did we reach to the extent of saying that we need a DNA? It means that we began somewhere. So this somewhere should have been the mistrust that we have been having and also lack of commitment. Because by the time you reach an extent that, okay, now I'm deciding to go to a DNA, it means you have already doubted your wife, you have doubted your children, so that is where you are. So in the first place, let us learn to address why the DNA. We need to do a DNA if it is mandatory to do a DNA. Otherwise, if it becomes like anybody, anywhere, anyhow we are doing a DNA, then we are likely to cause a lot of domestic violence, a lot of family breakdown, which is not called for. Because let us ask ourselves, traditionally, in our communities and our societies, how did we know that these are our children? And actually, all children are our children in a family, irrespective of who the father is. We were brought up as a family, and that is the African tradition. So at this moment, let us first go back and address the issues that are causing people to go overboard to commit infidelity. Then that is when we shall address the issue of the DNA.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Wandera. Madam Sheila, as I said, DNA has caused a lot of commotion, violence. Do you think DNA is necessary?
Well, I really think DNA is necessary, but our reaction to it should be the question. Because by the time you make DNA, it means you really need it. It means you have valid reasons to actually go for it. And if you go for it, I think it's okay, but how do you react afterwards? Because when you're looking for the truth, truth is always bitter, whether it's positive or negative. Usually it comes in a bitter form. So every time you make a DNA, make sure that you're ready for the results and handle them positively. Handle your emotions before you go for the test, because by the time you have doubt, the tests could be negative, and then it could harm you. So first get mental healing, you prepare yourself, and then you can go for the thing. But I really think it's necessary.
It is necessary. Thank you, Madam Sheila. As I told you, as a result of DNA, a lot of things are happening, like violence. I'll give you a scenario. There was this man who went for a DNA test, and on going for a DNA test, he was actually given the wrong results of a DNA test. So they told him, like, all the children, they're not your children. So on coming back home, this man decided to beat up his children, chase away or eliminate the kids from the family. And when the wife came and was like, what is going on here? He had to stab the wife because he was filled with anger, and the wife was rushed in a hospital. The police came and they took him to make a statement. And meanwhile, there was a number that was calling him often, but he didn't pick up the call because he was overwhelmed with anger. But on picking up this call, later he picked it up, and it was the doctor saying, I'm sorry, the results I gave you, they're not yours. Otherwise, all the children belong to you. And then thereafter, he received another call saying that his wife was dead. And you see, he has done something that he cannot take back. How, Mr. Wandera Stephen, how do you think the government is reacting to this violence?
Thank you so much. Personally, I think the government has a bit of being clumsy in dealing with the problem, because the question is, who is conducting the DNA? Because you will find every clinic coming up, we are conducting the DNA. Yes. And the other reason is, why are we conducting the DNA? Because you may also find that I'm interested in throwing out my wife. I connive with someone somewhere. The next day, the wife is off onto the street. So at the end of the day, I have eliminated her because I connived with a doctor somewhere, and they wrote a fake result. So I think the government should come up and direct the country where should people go for the DNA. And secondly, this DNA testing should be sanctioned by court, that there is a legal confrontation. We are not agreeing. That is when we should go for DNA, not just coming up, all of a sudden I'm going for DNA. There should be a sanction why that should take place. So I do think the government should address, and indeed this very last week, the parliament asked the Prime Minister to come up with a report on the government position. So let us wait for what the government is saying, but I strongly do think there should be specific centers that should be allowed to conduct the DNA, and the DNA testing should be sanctioned by court before we can proceed with carrying them out.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wandera. Madam Sheila, as I told you, DNA has resulted into violence. A lot of things are being committed. Do you think the government is doing the right thing? Do you think it's responding the same way? How do you think the government is?
Well, at this point, I think they're not acting so fast as they should, yes, because a lot of things are happening. We are seeing videos on TikTok, yes, fathers throwing away kids, beating wives as if there is no tomorrow, as if they have never had a relationship with these people, as if they really resent them. I think the government is not working at the speed they should be working at, because it's actually causing commotion, like you have said.
You can't tell me, like, because you have refused, like you as a mother, you have refused you have refused the children to be taken for DNA. Why are you refusing it? I think it shouldn't be necessary, really.
Well, thank you so much. That is why I said if the mother refuses, she should be answerable. Why is she refusing in the very first place? You understand? And then talking about people not having money to hire lawyers or to go to court, that is where the government is supposed to come in with a duty to employ more lawyers. Government lawyers, like we have government doctors, nurses, they should employ more lawyers so that they can tackle issues like that, family issues, because a family is the base of the country. Without a family, a country is nothing. Everyone in this country is from a family, meaning that the country and the government should also think of measures of how to keep the family together. They can provide those lawyers. We have very many unemployed lawyers here. Yeah. They can actually recruit them as government employees, and they work on these issues. It is doable.
And actually, let us also agree, even at the police desk, there is the family division. So before we go and look for the lawyers, before we go and look for those expensive, let us begin at the basic. Let the family division handle the issue.
But some people, for example, in some places, these people will feel like, some of our police people, you go there and they say we are busy, you will come tomorrow, you will come tomorrow, you will come tomorrow. So you will get people get fed up and people will be like, no, let me just do what it takes. Now such people.
Yeah, I think we are looking at the end before we begin, because leaders are there. From the LC, there is the women representative anyway. Then from there, we have the police. From there, we have the church leadership. So all of these people should be engaged in family matters before we reach an extent of going to court.
Okay. Oh my goodness, this is a very, very, very interesting topic. Let me know what you think about this topic. Before we continue, let's go for a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Come to our studios and take advantage of our quality and amazing services. We are located in Kabaragala Junction, behind Equity Bank, along Senyonga Road, on Chari Simbazila Plaza.
Welcome back from the commercial break. Yeah, I'm here with Mr. Wandera and Council Sheila. So, mostly women are the one who are causing this. I don't know. Mr. Wandera Stephen, why do you think women cheat?
Thank you so much. And I don't know why you want to put me on defensive anyway. But if we talk of women cheating, they cheat with who? Then I think everybody should be answerable for this. Yeah, if women have cheated, and then we sanction a DNA because I don't trust my wife is cheating and whatever, then when does a woman also sanction for DNA because the man is cheating somewhere, somehow?
Because I think for the women, they know the real parents of they're the ones who carry these babies in the womb. That is the truth. A man will just go to the woman. You don't know who was there first. You don't know if it was the neighbor or it's you. For you all, you would know this is my kid. But the women, deep in their heart, they know. That's why I'm telling you, it's at least caused by women. They know deep in their heart. Seriously.
Yeah. Let us also understand. There is at times you will find there is a one-night stand. Things went off. So you cannot ably say it is a woman who cheats, but a woman cheats with a man. So it all goes back to infidelity in marriages. The biggest reason why there is cheating, I won't say women cheating, but there is cheating. Yes. Women need time, of which the men will always tell you, you don't eat time. I need to look for money here and there. At the end of the day, this woman is left. And by the way, biologically, the body also demands whatever it demands. So at the end of the day, a woman has gone off, we blame the woman. Other men actually have their other women somewhere. So as they go out, this woman is left here. So we wait to blame her for getting out. I think we need to address the issue of time, because people need affection, people need time, people need at least some gifting here and there, words of affirmation. We need at least appreciation, to be appreciated one way or the other. So these women, let us not treat them as robots in one way or the other, that they don't have feelings, that they are not attracted to one or two. Some men actually forgot an outing with their wives the day they got engaged. So at the end of the day, this woman is left hanging, and here comes a sharpshooter and is offering this. So at the end of the day, things go astray. So those are a few basics. We need to go back to family values. We need to go back to issues that can help us. We need to address the friendship. We need to address relationship concerns before we can go on and blame. So I think when that is done, then we can go back to addressing the problem.
Me, I'm still on the same point. These women, we are the one who know the right father of the baby we are carrying. Even if it is a one-night stand, you will still know it was Geoffrey first. I'm sorry, any Geoffrey watching there? It's just an example. It was Geoffrey first. You know. So me, I think if these women would come out and speak the truth and say, this child is not yours right from the beginning, I think it would not result to maybe DNA and then causing the violence. But before that, why do you think women cheat?
Well, personally, I'm a person who believes in fascinating womanhood. And I don't believe that a woman should cheat, because she should actually submit to her husband. She should be obedient and maybe give her husband like an atmosphere that will keep him home or what. But where people go astray to cheat, I really don't know why, but people have various reasons. Someone will be like, he doesn't leave enough kameza money. Okay. And the children are starving, and he comes back, he wants to eat. You understand?
I can't, Sheila. Yes, please. A man who takes care of his children, and the children reach an extent of growing up, and he gets an instinct and like, maybe this girl is not my girl. But when the girl has grown up, that means that a man is taking care of his kids. So I don't think like taking care of the kids would be the reason as to why, really, a woman would cheat.
Well, I think, okay, let me put it this way, because when we talk about why people cheat, people have various reasons as to why they cheat. Yes. It can be affection. Some people have sex, how are they called, disorders. You find they have like a trauma, and then it triggers them to go for sex all the time, and if the husband is not around. Some other people you find naturally they're like that, they want the sex they like exploring. So
like that, people are just different people, they have different characters, different characters that make them cheat.
They really have very different reasons that we cannot exploit now and explain. Yes. But the point of DNA comes in when you're not sure of if this is my child or not, you understand? Yes. So how it comes in that this man is not sure if this person is their child or not, it's because society has shaped us women in a way that we fear men. You understand? We fear men in a way that even if I go astray, it will be so complicated for me to tell my husband, look, I think I messed up here. You understand? Yes. Because these people do not create a relationship where they are free with each other to speak things out. Okay. You understand? Yes. So meaning that at the end of the day, like he said, maybe you're actually insisting that a woman knows who came first and who came next. Yes. For example, he said it could be a one-night stand, and after a one-night stand, meaning that either I had sex in the morning with this other person, and in the night I'm having it with my husband. How will I differentiate?
The first person is the father. No, the first person is the father. No, Miss Titi. He's a teacher. Who is the father of the baby? You had sex a one-night stand in the night, and then in the morning you're with your husband.
What Council Sheila is trying to say is, at this moment in time, I had a one-night stand or whatever. So at the end of the day, I'm not quite sure that I'm pregnant anyway. So by the time I realize I'm pregnant, I actually don't know who is responsible. So one thing that we need to know is, as we said, why do we cheat? So as there are varied reasons why people cheat, we need also to appreciate the fact that it goes back to unfaithfulness and a vacuum which is created. As Council Sheila put it, you realize that some people cheat simply because they are explorers. They want to explore here and there. And some people cheat simply because they are lonely. So those are the reasons. With those men they cheat with, and you were talking about insisting that, okay, this woman should tell the husband, you know what, I cheated on you, and so this one is your child. That alone can also cause a problem.
What you just said goes back to the thing of, I'm not sure. Like we have not conducted a DNA at that very moment. Yes. I don't know if this child turns out to be this person or her biz, you understand? Yes. So if I talk to my husband without conducting a DNA, it means I'm actually creating havoc. I'm bringing issues of, I don't know, like I'm actually exposing my infidelity to my husband. And what if this child turns out to be his? What will happen? You understand? It's actually someone finds themselves in a dilemma. You find like that, so confused. It's a complex situation, and there is nothing they can do about it. So they just decide to keep quiet. But I don't think it's a good idea. I really don't support it.
Mr. Wandela.
Actually, as she puts it, we are not saying cheating is okay, but when it happens, actually, it needs a lot of patience, a lot of understanding in order to address it. So if it so happens that this has happened, the woman is in dilemma. How do I address this? And who could be the father? As Council Sheila put it. Now, what if I have told this man, you are not the father, and it turns out he's the father? So what about the child now? So we need also to put the child in question as we address the issue of infidelity.
Mr. Wandera, you said you were a pastor. I think churches should be the first remedies where, in case someone goes for a DNA and then gets to know like all the 4 kids, he has none of them. I think the church should be the first remedy. It's where he would first go and get redemption from. How do you think the church has? How do you think the church has helped in this?
Thank you so much. Many times the church has been so quiet and silent in dealing with issues of sexuality. Most of the churches, we are so good at being so holy, and we don't address issues of sexuality as we address issues of humanity. However, as you said, the first thing would be a spiritual healing. As we go into the physical healing, we need a spiritual healing, because infidelity doesn't only damage the physical, it even damages the spiritual. As you said, in the book of 1 Corinthians 5, verses 19, it says, when you commit a sexual sin, you sin against your own body. Actually, even this woman, there is an aspect of guilt in her life. Now, she also needs healing. Meanwhile, the man also needs healing. The Bible says that we need to forgive. It doesn't mean it doesn't pain you. And anyway, as it pains you, the first thing is, let us address the cause of the infidelity. And if that is addressed, then we can make the reconciliation. Because a healing you can't get a healing unless you explain to the doctor why what pains you. So even in reconciliation, we cannot say I forgive you unless there is an openness, a communication. So the church must encourage a communication. And then in case the issue has happened, obviously we cannot trace back. If I have not been faithful, then I cannot say I'm faithful. The only thing is we need to recognize we are weak. And since we are weak, we need help of one another. And in case it happens, let us encourage communication, let us encourage openness, let us encourage that faithfulness. And when we address those challenges, we can come back and be one as a family.
Well, we are still going on with our show. Allow me to go for a commercial break. I'll be right back.
Welcome to MGD Media, where our state-of-the-art studios are based. We offer a variety of media services and production, which include music production, video production, photography, online marketing, printing of all sorts of documents.
Welcome back to our show. As I said, churches should be the remedies where, in case someone receives sad news about DNA, they should be going to churches, maybe to get counseling. But again, in churches, it's where we find even pastors doing the same things that people down here who like people here who are believing in him, they see him doing the same thing they're doing. So someone is going to say, why should I go there? After all, the pastor's wife has 5 kids. And all the 5 kids, they don't belong to the pastor. Councillor Sheila, this is where my question comes in. Do you think the church is doing something about this DNA issue?
Well, I think the church is playing its role to some extent, because some churches are so open about issues of infidelity and being faithful in marriages. But, for example, take an issue where someone is in a marriage and they conduct a DNA, but all the children are not his. But his wife is a church goer.
Yeah.
You understand? So usually you find it's the pastor producing the children for the man. You understand? Sometimes, I didn't say every pastor, but we have seen most fraudulent pastors. Like, they're just there to make money. And we have seen this even in movies, because movies are literature and it depicts what happens in society. So you find this person has gone and the pastor is like, the only remedy we have, you first sleep with me and then you sleep with your husband, you will get pregnant. You understand? So in the long run, actually the children are the pastor's children. How will this person go to the pastor for counseling? How will this pastor handle this? You understand? And then in church, if we are going around to church, we usually find people who slander us in churches. How does this news come to move out of the shield of a family to move into society? You find you have entrusted in a church counselor, and this person is the one spreading the rumor in society, and it is actually sparking a fire there. You understand? So I really think people should go back to where the family starts, at the point of dating. How do we date? Do we date on sleepovers? Do we date on just a sleepover? You go and then you're like, okay, that is love. And then at the end of the day, you're pregnant, and that's why your marriage starts. Okay. I do not say that that marriage starting from pregnancy is bad, but my point is, build a relationship whereby this person becomes your friend. Create a talking environment even during your dating time, so that even in marriage you feel free to talk to your partner in case anything goes wrong. And of course, we have seen marriages where someone has children that are not their husbands, and the husband knows somehow, especially the English, but because the woman was open about it, and they discussed it, and these people, like, someone talks and they're like, okay, this was the reason ABC, you know, that they did this, maybe this time you were out for a year. For example, some men leave villages and they come to Kampala to work for a full year.
Yes.
Really, and they never think about going to the village unless it's Christmas time. So maybe I think before we move out, we should create an environment in our families, in our marriages, in our relationships, where we can openly talk to each other, find your person in the moods where they are free to talk and bring out an issue, talk about it, And that's it.
You said, Council, that at times, you know what, the man has stayed off for a year or so, so this is a very ample ground for me to cheat. I wouldn't buy into that so much. The reason is, if a cheating has happened, the church should build trust. Because if there is no trust, then believe me, we shall not speak about it. Because now, as she said, what if the pastor is the father of the children? What if maybe the choir master is actually the one? What if actually maybe it is outside? Let us assume maybe it is from outside. The church needs to stand its ground. But the problem at times why trust fails is I trust my pastor, I go to my pastor, I tell my pastor, do you know what? I went astray and things happened. Before you know it, the pastor has broken the news to the husband. Before you know it, to the church. So at the end of the day, there is a total mess. So I do think there should be a kind of rapport created such that people find it prudent to disclose. Because if we can't create a room as a church for people to disclose, then people will never disclose, and that is why we have all the confusion coming around.
Well, Mr. Wandera, there are these kind of people. They have been married for a couple of years. They have their 5 kids. They reach an extent, they want to divorce. And when they divorce, and time going on, the children are giving their shares, the mother is giving their shares, and then the father on the later note comes to notice and goes for a DNA and realizes like all the 5 kids are not his kids. And do you think there is a remedy for him? Do you think he can run to the government? And when he runs to the government, do you think the government will be able to return back his assets? Because these are not his and they're not entitled to the assets.
Thank you so much. We go back to the power of attorney. When I assign you the power of attorney, I still own the right to recall those powers at times. So the only thing that they may not carry your name. We had, of recent, we had issues of Mr. Chiwanuka of Oscar Industries and about one of his sons who took him to court, and then we were hearing he wasn't actually a son. So this is not happening today. The only thing is, I think there should be, as in an arrangement by the magistrate or by the judges, there can be arbitration. And then they are given what is due and not completely being thrown out because they also deserve. The children are actually innocent of the doing of their mother. So when we throw them out, it means now we are condemning them for the sin of their mother. So how do you prove before court that this child actually negotiated for the mother to go out? So I do think as an address, a legal address, there should be an arbitration, and they are given what is due for them to survive on, such that they are not just thrown as if they are not human beings.
Personally, I think these children they should inherit the property from their real parents, and I think it's not fair. And it's very painful for father to give out assets, thinking he's giving assets out to his own children, and on the later note he realizes that these are not his children. This is so painful. Do you think, in case this father appeals to the court, do you think court could help him in any way? Do you think he could retrieve back his property or no?
Well, I think I should discuss this with a legal perspective, and then with what is prevailing in society. Wise men, I repeat, wise men usually give out their property in their wills.
All right.
Meaning they have journeyed life with these children. If they had maybe issues of I'm doubting this, they have gone and they have made research about this thing. And
Cancel a little bit, cancel. Actually, I'm bringing you back to a divorce. This man has not reached an extent of dying, or he has not reached an extent of writing a will, and then here comes a woman or a wife who comes up with issues and like, you know what, let's divorce. So divorcing is not willingly, he's not writing the will willingly. What do you think?
Well, what is giving in the first place is what a wise person does.
Okay,
yeah. So at this point, at the very last point of your time, it means that this time around you no longer have a point of conflict with the living people. Understand? It is up to them and the will you have left for them. Understand? And then back to what you have said, a man has divorced his wife, they have shared property, he has given property to his children. Understand?
Yes.
So in law, the person with the documents of the TV set is the owner. We do not care how he got this, but by document he is the owner, and that is the proof. You understand?
As long as he acquired it in the right way.
Thank you. I did not force you to give me this property. You actually gave it to me willingly and you put it in my names. It belongs to me. Meaning that if you are to get this property, we have to go through the legal procedure, and of which transfer is that I either give it to you willingly or I sell it to you if you want it back. Understand? So it being that, that's why I was like, usually a wise person. The same thing men are doing these days. Go make your research. If you're doubting a certain child, then give out your property in your will. But
like, you mean to say, for example, like a wise man, so you mean say, in case this lady petitions for a divorce, I think this man should, before even saying we are going to divorce, I think he should first take these kids to a DNA test before doing anything in order to prevent the regrets. But
now with divorce, when you're divorcing, a divorce is between the husband and the wife and not the children.
But but real men and fathers, they give out things because the mothers would say, imagine now you've just produced your son, he's just 1 month, he can't be with his dad. And then there are these dads who really have love for their children. So he will say, this house is for my son, Arthur. You get? So I think before even this man agreeing to divorce, the right thing he should do is to first do a DNA, then he will proceed with the divorce. Is that a good idea or?
Well, with divorce, we have about 5 grounds, and one of them is the adultery, and the adultery which could have actually caused the birth of the child. But this time around, we are okay, if we are discussing divorce at this point, it does not necessarily mean that when the parents are divorcing, at that point, that's when the child should be given property. Yeah, the parents can divorce, and if they are sharing property, the mother can take her percentage, depending on the law and how she has contributed to the thing, or how they have agreed together. And then the child comes in later, the mother can decide to give the child part of her shares, and the dad can also give him part of the shares, depending on their will, on what they want to give this person. It does not necessarily mean that when parents divorce, then the children should share the property and things like that. It's not like that.
Okay. So, Mr. Andrea Stephen, how do you think this DNA is affecting both parties, the wife and the husband at large?
Thank you so much. We realize that when we have reached an extent of doing a DNA, it means we are almost at the verge of no reconciliation, no turning back. The most affected in this is the child, who was innocent of any wrongdoing. Because you may find a child of, actually, I'm a child to my parent, of my age, But breaking that to someone of my age, and you are telling him, do you know what? The one you have known as your dad is not your dad. It is an emotional breakdown.
Yes.
So these people who are affected in the whole saga, all of them are affected. Fine, the mother, we have had scenarios where, like, of recent, the issues of Samona, whereby you find 3 kids out of the 8 are not for the man. You cannot say that that was a mistake. At least for the first one, we could consider that was a mistake. But the second one, the third one, it is actually so unbecoming. So you will find there is an emotional breakdown for the man. There is emotional breakdown for the children who are involved in this. At the end of the day, I think the psychologists have to do a lot in addressing the people involved. That is why when we were beginning, I said it should be sanctioned by court, because court will make an arrangement of helping these people. Other than all of a sudden I come up, I break the news, this has happened. So these people have not been prepared to handle the pressure. So that is why I think in the effect of the whole saga of the DNA, in case it turns out negative, then it should be through court. Now, the other question is, okay, you have doubted me as your child. It turns out I'm your child.
Yes.
What happens? So there is that emotional destruction that happens. Yes. So I don't think this should be taken lightly. Yes. As we address issues of paternity, as we address issues of morality, families need to stand their ground in helping people stay together. And in case there is a problem, such a problem needs to be addressed through the right channels. And that is why we are talking of regulation of the conduct of the DNA, such that I don't just wake up because it affects the child, it affects the woman, it affects the man. Because people lose marriages, people kill each other. You gave us a scenario of a man who ended up killing the wife, actually innocent wife, yes, simply because there was a mess where they conducted the DNA. So I do think because everybody is affected, even society, I'm imagining this woman whom the man has alleged the woman was unfaithful, so the children may not be mine. All that emotional torture to this woman, yes, then it turns out the woman was actually very faithful and all the children are for the man. Yes. So how do you remedy that? How will you compensate this woman? Because she has lost her stature in the community. Yes. The family is doubting her, and it turns out she is actually right. So do we pay for that? So before we go to the extreme, let us first address it at family level. In case I have problems with my wife, let us sit, talk, communicate before we go to that extent. And we should only do a DNA if we must do a DNA.
As we are winding up, Councillor Sheila, kindly give advice to the people out there who have been listening to our show, and the people who are planning to do the DNA out there. Kindly give them a piece of advice.
Well, the main piece of advice to give is, for us, the DNA tests are necessary because it only comes out when there is a doubt somewhere. Yes. You should actually prepare yourself mentally because you could actually go crazy. We have seen someone who has lost weight.
Well, Mr. Wandera, you could give your advice and send regards to people who are watching you out there.
Yeah, thank you so much. The first advice I would give is communication. Okay. When there is communication breakdown in a relationship, all of this will happen. I can be in America, I spend 5 years in America, and the woman will stay here knowing that my husband is there and is there for me. So we should stand behind our spouses. My husband, my wife, we should stand behind them, that every time they feel that security around them, that I am there for them. Yes. The other thing is, if we must do a DNA, life must continue. The other thing is, we send our regards to everybody who has subscribed to this channel and is listening in, and please continue to subscribe. Shout out to our families out there, and for the people who are affected, please, there is still remedy in God. Please, God cares and God loves us all. Thank you so much for watching us, and thank you for subscribing.
Well, Madam Sheila, Councillor Sheila, could you please give a piece of advice to people who are watching you over there, and send your regards to a few people that you would love to?
Well, I was still reaffirm Mr. Wanderer's pieces of advice: prepare mentally, prepare spiritually, because a spiritually strong person knows that he can go through everything and handle the results maturely. Because you have to reason with this person even if you do not have to, because life, as he said, life does not stop there immediately. You have to go on, you understand? So, yeah, basically I think seek mental health assistance before you go, prepare, and then handle it spiritually and in a mature way.
Send your regards to our people.
My regards, I would like to start saying thank you to our viewers. You're great people. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Watching a YouTube video for this long is not something very easy. That's why we want to appreciate you. And remember to subscribe before I forget. You can give us a like as well. And I would like to thank MGD TV for inviting us here. It shows great trust. And Mr. Wanderer, thanks for honoring the invitation. I've loved having you. I've learned a lot from you. And I think you're on the list of my role models as for now, I must say. My regards to Daphne Nahura. Thank you so much. She's actually the one who told me about the show. And then Benjamin, thanks for helping me with preparation. I was very nervous and he was like, you can do this, you've got this. And thank you so much.
Mr. Wanderer? Well, thank you for watching from right where we started from up to now that we are winding up our show. But before I continue and before I tell you more, allow me to go for a short commercial break. I'll be right back. Kubanga ate mwekuumidde ku MGD TV. Waliwo omusajja eyagenda nakola DNA, we yakola ino DNA namanya nti omwana gwe yali akuza omwana siwe, wabula tocha nako nnyo ono omusajja yava waggulu ku kizimbe n'agwa n'afa. Naye nga kyembakutira abalabi baffe abalungi, ate kikoma wano ku DNA, bano abaana be mukuziza era tagenda kulekera okulaba nga muzadde we, nga taata we, nga mama we, era agenda kubanga asigala nga akuwa ekitiibwa. Nga we muwulidde mbadde wano ne musomesa waffe Mr. Wanderer Steven, nemberawo ne Councillor Sheila batuwadde advice nyingi era tusobodde okuba nga tuwulira ebintu ebirungi okuva mu bo. Wabula ate naawe bela nga ate ontegeeza ku kiki kyoba olowooza ku kino kyetubadde tudiscussingako, bela nga osubscribinga ku YouTube channel yaffe, Twitter, Facebook, ate nawe osobola okuba nga osindika message ku noti 7 noti 535 mukaaga noti emu, or you can say 0700535601. So nga ate nawe yenayina aliyeyo ayina businesses osobola okuba nga ate ojja wano ku MGD TV ne bakubira obulango yenayina ayagala okubanga ate bamu recordingira osobola okujja ate ne bakurecordingira, wabula ate nawe ayagala okubanga oyina ka project kuko yagala bakushootingire, byonna babikola wano ku MGD TV esangibwa emabega wa Equity Bank. Ojja kubanga osangawo abantu abenjawulo bono banga ate oyogera nabo nga ate bakukolako. Till we meet again, nange omuweerezaawo Angel Grace. Bye bye.